What's up guys, Vince Blaze here with Adventure Tennis. Hope you guys are doing well. We are back at it again here at Tuxedo Tennis Club. It's about 9:30 p.m. tonight. Bob and I decided to go for a night sesh. But today we're going to be talking about 3 tips on how to improve your game. Obviously these aren't going to be revolutionary tips. I'm no coach, I'm no professional of the industry. This is just your average player giving you guys some insights on how I personally improve my game in the busy life. So we tend to get stuck in this cycle, life gets busy, we forget about the basics, and most of these things you guys will actually already know about. I'm just here to give you guys a reminder because I do think that they can really improve your game because they've really helped me over the last 2-3 years that I've really taken tennis seriously. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first tip is something that's come along with technology and it's become a lot more accessible nowadays, is just to record yourself. Everyone carries a cell phone with them. Most cell phones nowadays do have a really good recording capabilities, and even more so, most cell phones can now record in slow-mo. And so it's a really invaluable tool in order to improve your game. Most of the times we just get onto the court, we start playing, blah, 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 and we're like, I don't know why my forehand's feeling a little sluggish today, I'm not connecting well. It's just really easy to just throw a phone onto the side. I do it all the time. You guys can ask Bob. I often ask my friends like Bob to just record my serve from different angles just so I can get a better perspective on how my serve looks, where I'm applying a lot of pressure, different angles, where I'm going slow. And sometimes you just don't notice it. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but especially when I'm playing, I always feel like, oh, I'm moving a lot, I'm moving so much. And as soon as I watch a recording of myself on the court, I notice just how slow and how little movement I'm putting and how lazy I can tend to be when it comes to footwork in particular. And so I think that recording is just a great way to improve your game. It lets you criticize a lot of the weak points that you have, but also helps you notice some of the things that you wouldn't otherwise. So that's my tip number 1. I would say record, record, record. You know it's not costing you anything. You don't need a special camera like we're shooting on right now. You can just do it on your phone or ask your friend to shoot some stuff for you. And yeah. All right, tip number 2 is something that kind of goes hand in hand with tip number 1, which is recording yourself, is to look at recordings of other players, and in particular, obviously, looking at pros. One of the things that I really like is that the ATP Tour and the WTP Tour have invested a lot of resources and a lot of money and a lot of time in building media for tennis, whether that's YouTube highlights that are coming in usually within 24 to 48 hours after the match. This is Instagram highlights, this is all the content on Instagram, the behind the scenes, etc. But a lot of the match play you can actually see live, or you can see it in afterwards and really study it. There's also obviously people who just go to the side of the court who record the players in slow-mo, which is amazing. I have always used this, whether I was competing in judo or any other sport. Looking at people who know and train inside out for this sport is probably the best way you can learn. Now, if you put it hand in hand with tip number 1, when you're recording yourself and you're looking at them, obviously you can see where you need to improve. The idea is not to criticize ourselves and to, make ourselves feel bad, because obviously we're not training 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days a week, 7 days a week. We're not training at the level that they are. We don't have a coach, we don't have a nutritionist, we don't have people who are scrutinizing our technique. But that's exactly why recording ourselves is so invaluable. We need that feedback, and we have to, in a sense, be our own coach. So that's what I've always done. I've sent plenty of clips to my friends. Bob can tell you guys all about how many times I send him Instagram clips on backhand, forehands, etc., serves. Just when I'm when we're talking about how to improve certain things, we go back and forth a lot. But it's just invaluable to, look at what the professionals are doing or what other people are doing, obviously online. So that's my tip number 2, is watch what the pros are doing. All right, and my third tip is to practice. It's gonna sound ridiculous, but as I was mentioning in the intro, we tend to just get caught up in life, and once work is over, we plan to go play with our friends. Bob will ask me, hey, can you play then? Can you play this? Can you play that? And we just forget that we can actually practice. The pros are obviously practicing day in and day out, but we don't need necessarily to practice at their level. But if you put in a 30-minute session with a hopper where you and your friend are just feeding each other balls and work on your forehands, working a couple of small drills. There's tons of drills online. You guys can look up all the different websites that are offering them, of course, but there's tons of drills online. Make up your own drills, but really working on your technique, getting a little bit of feel, that will go such a long way. The reason why practice is so important, and this obviously is the reason why all of the athletes and the professional athletes are doing it, it's because it allows you to control all the variables as compared to when you're playing a match or when you're playing just rallying with your friend. There's a lot of things you can't control. The wind, the lighting, the angle, the speed at which the ball came at, the spin, etc. There's a lot of things that you can't control. And so when you're practicing, you can really focus in on the one particular aspect that you want to work on. And that's one thing I would give you guys as a small little bonus tip, is just when you're practicing, focus on one thing. If you're doing your forehand, focus on one part of your forehand. I want to have a little bit of a more elongated follow through. I want to have a quicker snap on the wrist. I want to have a little bit more spin. I want to contact the ball a little bit earlier, right? If you want to move your feet, you say, one thing I'm working on today is really just moving my feet so that you're not getting overwhelmed with too many stimulus. And that way, if you are practicing slightly before your match play or before you're rallying, you can bring that practice and that feedback right into that session. That way you can continue to work on it while you're actually playing a live ball. So yeah, it sounds really simple, but practicing and practicing will help you get better. And I think that if you just take a little bit of time here and there, you can really improve your game. So yeah, tip number 1, recording ourselves. How many times do I ask you to record me?
Oh, absolutely. Countless times, whether it's him just practicing a serve and in match situations or even just rallying, he'd always ask me to record him, and I'd gladly do it because I know it would benefit him and his game and his progression.
And just the other day we were playing, and we recorded some footage of us playing, and Bob asked me, hey, can I have some of this footage? Can I watch it, etc. And again, all the footage that we have, for the most part, even on our phones, I still have. Hopefully we'll play some on the video right now, but it's super invaluable to have that footage, again, feedback, also to compare where you were a few years ago or a few months ago, etc. But I think just, again, like, I've recorded Bob and he's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. I can see what you're talking about now, right? I like when I was telling him, hey, you should fix this, you should lean more in with your hips when you're serving, etc. Bob can see that. We can see that way easier than me trying to explain how it's happening instead of him just seeing it,
Absolutely. Like, he would send me videos late at night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Here I am looking at videos of myself, and I'm comparing it to my older videos where I look absolutely horrendous. Not saying that I look pretty right now in terms of my game and my strokes, but
humble guy.
It definitely works wonders, and I'm thankful for Vince for that. And it just goes back to what he said: record yourself.
Yeah, and again, also one of the things that we often do is we'll send each other videos from Instagram and from the ATP Tour and the Tennis TV Instagram channels and stuff like that. And those small little clips often can be very easy to isolate certain things that we are trying to improve on our games. Again, I'm no coach, Bob's no coach either, but sometimes just having an external person just viewing that can help us, really just understand a little bit more on where we can improve.
So yeah, that's interesting you touch base on that, because I used to emulate, for example, a one-handed backhand like Federer's, obviously one of the most prettiest backhands. He then sends me videos of Novak Djokovic's two-handed backhand just because he saw me, I guess, playing around with my two-handed backhand. And he thought that would help improve my two-handed backhand. Lo and behold, here I am now, fully adopted a two-handed backhand swing, so thankful for that.
Yeah, and again, just small little things like, you know, the wrist drop, the hip movement right before. It's just things to try out, and obviously they're pros, they know what they're doing, so why not use that information?
Why not emulate them? Absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing that Bob and I do fairly regularly, and I always bug Bob for this, I'm always like, hey, can we just practice a certain thing before? You know, whether it was us playing at Taylor inside court, you know, where court time's expensive. You know, you're paying for the hour, you're paying for the balls, you're paying for the strings, etc. Everyone knows how expensive tennis can be.
Absolutely.
And so when you're on a crunch time, practicing becomes less important. But overall, I think that our game has improved because, you know, we've consistently tried to include, like, okay, let's do a couple of forehand cross court, let's do a couple of backhand cross court. Hey Bob, can I just work on my backhand? Can you feed me a couple of balls here? Can you send me a ball? And most of the time, if we're being realistic, we're shanking them all the time. But, you know, at least we're able to work on them in a very isolated environment without any external, you know, factors trying to, like, that could potentially impact our feedback on our own technique.
Absolutely. The shameless shank. Nobody cares. You're playing, you're practicing. Go shank some balls. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Continuous swing and just kind of breaking down your strokes and just kind of getting it down pat.
Yeah, and again, like tonight, we're going to bring the feeder out. We're going to do a little bit of practicing here and there on mainly my backhand and probably Bob's serve or one of his backhand as well, probably. But it goes a long way, and I really think that that's the best way to improve. So, yeah. All right.
I agree.
We out. All right, so that's everything for me today. I hope you guys got some value out of this video. I know it's very basic. There's a lot of things that we're like, oh yeah, I already know that. I'm sure you guys know this. It's just sometimes really good to have a reminder. And I would dare you guys to try implementing some of those things. Record yourselves a little bit more. You know, go watch the pros, go on Instagram, go leave comments, send it to your friends, building a community. Always, that's really crucial to becoming a better player. And of course, as you guys know, practicing, small little practice. If you don't have a feeder, you don't need a feeder. You know, just go through the motions at home. During the pandemic, I was one of those who was just going through the motions at home. I still do from time to time. So again, practice, I think, can be very valuable. So hopefully you guys gain some knowledge, some insights, and I really hope that your game can improve by using some of these tips. If you guys ever have your own little tips and tricks, feel free to leave them in the comment. I'm no pro here. I'm always learning, like I said. And I'd love to hear what you guys have done in order to improve your game. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more cool little videos like this about tennis. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow, that cut it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. God, yeah.